Does the Google Pixel 6a overheat? No. Is it a slow phone? No. Are the cameras bad? No. Should you buy this phone? Well, no. Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review, and today I have the Google Pixel 6a, as well as the Google Pixel Buds A series. Socials are listed above, and today's sponsor is me, so these are all my opinions and all my dollars that are spent on these products, and they may ruffle some feathers. So let me tell you about my experience. So no, this phone is not bad. Actually, it's really good for some. But just like the current 2022 iPhone SE, it is priced in a way that makes it kind of a bad buy. My issue is that this phone is $450 and we get these specs. A 6.1-inch 1080p OLED display with Gorilla Glass 3, a 4306 mAh battery with quick charging up to 18 watts, 6GB of LPDDR5 RAM paired with 128GB of UFS 3.1 storage, the first in current generation Google Tensor chip, dual 12-megapixel rear cameras giving wide and ultra-wide, a front 8-megapixel sensor, under-display fingerprint scanner, and some nice extras like IP67 dust and water resistance, as well as dual speakers. These are all good things, but are downgrades from the $150 more Google Pixel 6. Or is it? See, I have the Google Pixel 6 here that I bought used for $400. Sure, it has some scratches, and it's not really a direct comparison at that price, but let me tell you about what the Pixel 6a has that the Pixel 6 doesn't. A smaller build and screen. That's it. Everything else is either the same, bigger, or better on the Pixel 6, the phone that is only $10 more for a renewed one on Amazon. But to continue with this video, we do have to talk about new devices, though I do believe buying a used Pixel 6 or even a Pixel 6 Pro is not only better on your wallet, but better for the environment. Either way, I did question if it makes this a bad phone, and well, it doesn't. While the phone is barely smaller than the Pixel 6, it is still smaller, and some people like that. I bought this and the Pixel 6 to give to my mom to replace her Pixel 4a, and even though she's most likely going to get the Pixel 6, the Pixel 6a is smaller in every dimension and 29 grams lighter when compared to the Pixel 6, something that you do notice side by side. To me, that's where all the benefits end. The Pixel 6a only has a 60Hz display, so while that Tensor chip is fast, this phone will seem a little bit slower than it really is. The back feels like glass, but it's a 3D thermoformed composite back with tactical alloy frame, which when Googled results in confusing posts and the Pixel 6a. It's a fancy way of saying technically not glass, so no wireless charging. Yep, just like that IP rating of 67 instead of 68, the only way to charge this phone is wired, though it is not surprising on an A-series device, just like the IP rating. Still, the phone is an all-metal frame just like the Pixel 6, making this phone not only feel but look premium. Another thing is technically the screen has a higher pixel density when compared to the Pixel 6, meaning that images will look sharper, but I can't really see that much of a difference. On the bottom, we get a single speaker with a microphone, and in the middle, we get a USB-C 3.1 port, allowing you to actually take advantage of that UFS 3.1 storage speed. While the charging says up to 18 watts, I was never able to get it past 10 watts of charging, while the Pixel 6 passes that on the same charger easily. Like I said, this phone is fairly light at 178 grams, which is nice because nowadays phones make my hand feel like they're the weakest part of my body. While the screen is only 60Hz, it's not anything new on the A-series phones, and we do still get the always-on display with tap to wake, as well as a high brightness mode and HDR support. This allows for brightness that matches or at least comes close to the Pixel 6, ranging from 750 to 800 nits max, and again with HDR support. While the battery is a 4306 mAh cell, and technically the smallest for Tensor chip, it works out giving me pretty decent battery life. This is good because like I said, the charging is the slowest I've seen on a Pixel device. Getting 2 days is possible out of this battery, but definitely not fun to do. Like I've said, this does feature the Tensor chip and is pretty much the same performance-wise as the Pixel 6, but with some caveats. The screen is 60Hz, so animations look a little weird because the apps load fast, but in a weird way. This chip is perfect for stuff that happens in the background, like image processing, sometimes giving you horrible looking camera shots in the viewfinder, but comes out looking really nice. This allows Google to give us some software updates for a very long time, though the start is super rough. It's August 2nd, and I just got the June security update, while this phone came with the April security patch. This phone launched on July 28th. Yes, 3 months after the software it comes with. Pretty bad, but hopefully in the next 5 years, those updates are going to be on time. And no, it still doesn't allow me to unlock the bootloader, even though I bought the unlocked one from Google. I don't know why. This software update was supposed to fix that. Speaking of security, it's the same annoying mess that we get on the other 6 series, the in-screen fingerprint scanner. No face unlock, no rear sensor, just your password and your finger. This is decent, but when you add a screen protector, it gets way worse, going from about 80% accuracy to 50%. People say it's slower, but it feels and looks to be the same as the Pixel 6, at least in my tests. Google claims stereo speakers, but it's just dual speakers. They do sound slightly quieter than the Pixel 6, but sound fairly good. Just the bottom speaker is louder than the top, making you tilt the phone a little bit to get that stereo feel. While it doesn't come with millimeter wave 5G stock, Google does make one, costing a little bit more, and you have to buy it from Verizon so you can get that faster line of sight 5G if you have access to it, but personally, not worth it. This is a dual SIM phone, though one is eSIM while the other is a physical one. Bundling all this up and even typing it up, I got this boring phone that honestly makes me miss aspects of phones like the OnePlus 5. This is actually the first time Google launched a phone without a headset jack. Yeah, didn't realize that one, did you? I don't know, just for some reason this feels like a boring phone. While something like this would make sense with Apple, it doesn't with Google. If they launched this phone in March or April, the pricing would have worked. The iPhone SE is $430, while a used iPhone 13 goes for about $600 plus, both unlocked. The Pixel 6a is $450, while a used Pixel 6 goes as low as $380. The SE is a deal compared to the iPhone 13, while the Pixel 6a is an overpriced Pixel 6. That's why this phone is bad. But like I said, we have to talk about new prices. We have to imagine you walk into a cell phone store and buy this phone. This is what the Pixel 6a will give you. You will get dual 12 megapixel cameras, while the main one is technically a 12.2 megapixel wide sensor. But they both not only produce amazing shots, but also amazing 4K 60 video, though 60 frames per second is only on the main sensor, while the ultra-wide maxes out at 30 frames per second. Still, this is a setup that you can give to a parent or grandparent and know that the camera will do all the work for them, rather than taking a shot and praying that it'll look good. Sure, the camera is the same sensor from the past, but the processing is still Google Tensor and allows for other image gimmicks like Magic Eraser, Realtone, and Face Unblur. This is not the video to really show those off, but it's there, and yes, still gimmicky. And as bad as I play up the screen, it's actually pretty nice. Get past the 60Hz restriction, and then you still have a 6.1-inch 1080p OLED display with only a hole punch for the front camera, which is similar to the iPhone 13. Not the same quality, obviously, and I would say the iPhone 13 is technically better, but it's the same screen and similar resolution at a base $450 rather than the $800 for the iPhone 13. And if we bring in the 4.7-inch LCD on the iPhone SE 2022, then there's no competition. While it does only feature Gorilla Glass 3, it's honestly not that big of a deal because you'll most likely break the OLED panel before you break the glass layer, and scratch resistance is pretty much the same. So really, no loss there. Like I said, battery life on paper shouldn't really be the best, but it's not that bad. Though the estimate for the extreme power saver mode giving you 3 days of battery life does seem like a stretch. I actually like that the RAM, while only being 6GB, is LPDDR5 and the storage is UFS 3.1, meaning that data transfers, app installs, camera recording, etc. will be super fast, even though this is a budget phone. Another thing is that haptics felt the best on the Pixel 6 Pro, but the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6a almost feel identical. Overall, I do enjoy how this shares a lot from the Pixel 6, but I can't help shake knowing that they're pretty much the same price, assuming you can deal with seeing a few scratches. Now, I told you the good and the bad, but let's get to brass tacks, or whatever the phrase is. Within the first 2 days of using this phone, I was dying to switch to the Pixel 6 that I have. And the fact that I can even buy this phone for cheaper than the Pixel 6a was the whole reason that I bought the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6a. Pretty much every video that I would watch about this phone says it's a good phone for the price. But there was maybe like one video that I watched that would mention that buying a Pixel 6 used was a better option than buying this phone new. That was frustrating to me. And everyone was comparing this to the Samsung A53 5G, which is not a good choice at all. That phone has a dramatically worse processor, with some saying that the A52 5G actually works faster than the A53. There are also a lot of people that complain about the A53 performance, and I'm not exaggerating with that. A lot of people do not like that phone. I also thought it was weird seeing YouTubers compare the 6A to the A53, but lack a video about the A53. So how can one say that the A53 is a better phone than the Pixel 6a, even though they've never used the A53? Okay, tangent done. After almost a week, I got used to this phone, and I never really had times where I doubted using this phone. When I wanted to use an app, it worked. Needed to use a camera, and it just worked. Everything I tried to do on this phone worked, and that allows you to feel confident when using this phone, knowing that every task that you want to do is going to be done well. I never found myself waiting forever for apps to open up. Gaming is okay. Not the best, but still definitely not the worst, and will work for a lot of games and a lot of people. Battery life is good, acceptable really, but the charging speed is just way too slow for me, and I don't know why. I really wish they gave you a charger in this cheap feeling box, cause maybe I'm just using the wrong charger, but I've tried everything. Lastly, I gotta mention the Pixel Buds A series that were given to me for free with this pre-order. They're about $100 and absolutely some of the worst buds that I've used in a very long time. I just finished using the OnePlus Nord buds, which beat these buds by a lot, and you can actually get 2 pairs of those buds for the price of one of these A series. The sound isolation is just not good, even when I'm using the large tips. And the fact that I had to switch tips in general is kind of bad. Normally I just stick with the medium ones. They also go deep in your ears, which even for me, I'm okay with that, but that was still very uncomfortable. No wireless charging, battery life is equivalent to the AirPods Pro, they're actually not that loud, and the case gets dirty super easy. Maybe I got a bad batch, but I couldn't really use these at all. They sounded so quiet, especially in the gym. They do stick in your ears pretty well, but they're not comfortable at all, even though they have this non-removable wingtip. The sound also wasn't that good either. Like the bass wasn't really there, and when you would listen to people talk, it was just super sharp. Just wasn't that good. Lastly, it's integrated to the Pixel ecosystem, but why is the latency so bad? The major upside that I found on these though, is that I never really had an issue with connection, and the touch sensors were actually not that bad, which is something that I normally don't like. Overall, don't buy these buds. Trust me on that one. I was pretty mean with the Pixel 6a, and especially those buds, but I want to be honest. It sounds like a miracle that Google was able to make this phone, but it didn't feel the same as when I bought the Pixel 4a, and that was a dramatically worse phone with only a $100 MSRP difference. Still, that feels like a better deal than the Pixel 6 because the Pixel 4 didn't cost the same as the Pixel 4a at the time of the Pixel 4a's release. But the used Pixel 6 cost less than a new Pixel 6a. Okay, there were so many pixels and numbers in there, but I would say that you should only buy this phone if you just have to get a new phone. Though, this would be perfect for an older family member that doesn't want to use eBay, Amazon, or any other internet site to find a phone. Yep, the Pixel 6a is just like the iPhone SE. A good phone to just send someone into the store to buy. And that's my super long review of the Google Pixel Buds A series and the Google Pixel 6a, the phone that you shouldn't buy, but should recommend. But what do you think? Does this review cement the fact that Google will never send me any devices? Let me know what you think in the socials and comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.